SABC News correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease joins us now for more on this. Sherwin, kill civilians and get a $44,000 bonus is what Donald Trump effectively seems to be condoning here. But this seems to be a battle between state control over public safety, policing and immigration, and federal intervention and control over there in the same issues. And it seems very specifically that it's blue states that seem to be on the receiving end of at least these ICE raids and ICE killings, the aggression of ICE. What recourse do governors, especially the governor of Minnesota, think that they have in an instance like this?
Well, that recourse is going to be through the courts, Oliver, and there are two cases that are pending right now. One that seeks to allow state officials to be party to the investigation into the fatal shooting of Alex Pretti. In fact, they also complained about the fact that they were not party to the investigation until this point of Renee Good, the fatal shooting of Renee Good, another U.S. citizen, some 3 weeks ago. So that's one element. They're pursuing that matter in the courts. They want to be part of the investigation. There's a lack of trust, as we have ventilated in that piece, prefacing the question. And then secondly, Keith Ellison, the Attorney General of Minnesota, is also seeking clarity from a federal judge as to whether the current operation by ICE and Border Patrol agents in the state of Minnesota is in fact legal. And their main argument appears to be the fact that it is leading to concerns around public safety, including now the killing of 2 U.S. citizens who, in their view, were exercising their First and, in the Pretti case, his Second Amendment right? The concern about him having a concealed weapon, all legal in the state of Minnesota. He had a licensed firearm. He's allowed to carry a concealed weapon, even to a protest, according to the local police chief there. And so the concern you've begun to see as soon as these incidents happen, Oliver, federal agents, federal officers, federal officials, including the Secretary of Homeland Security, the FBI director, framing the victim here as some sort of domestic terrorist, that they were seeking to brandish a weapon at a protest, none of which is being borne out by the video evidence that is available for all of us to see. Pretti was holding a video camera, a cell phone camera. He was filming the operation that was ongoing, and then you see that scuffle ensue, and now the claim from federal officials is that this person was concealing a gun and had come to slaughter law enforcement officials is not borne out by the facts. And, you know, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama as well, and Bill Clinton pointing to the fact that the president and current administration officials seem, this is the Obama statement, seem eager to escalate the situation while offering public explanations for the shootings of Mr. Pretti and Renee Good that aren't informed by any serious investigation, and that appears to be directly contradicted by the video evidence. So the state of Minnesota is pursuing its ability to be party to an investigation through the courts. They've been barred by the Department of Homeland Security and I believe the FBI in participating in that investigation, which they say is a concern. And then they're also pursuing the fact that they want these agents to be removed from the streets of Minnesota because they believe the federal agents in and of themselves are a direct threat to public safety, borne out by the fact that 2 U.S. citizens are now dead.
Yeah, the Black Lives Matter movement was born out of exactly these types of human rights violations, except in that instance by police and targeted very specifically at black people. ICE is indiscriminately targeting people here, and it seems as though that your geographic advantage or the color of your skin might not be able to save you in these instances. How is the public reacting to this?
You know, there is some dispute to that the fact that there isn't racial profiling. We have heard reports from various regions that black and brown people are being racially profiled by these officers. In fact, a police chief from one of the communities in Minnesota was talking about how, using an example in a recent write-up that I saw, about how an off-duty police officer, a black female officer, was engaged by ICE, asked for her documentation. As a U.S. citizen, no one carries around documentation, never mind people that are here on legal, immigrant documents. You don't carry those documents. It's a bit akin to the pass laws in South Africa in the bad old days, right? And so history teaches us that that's not how people operate from day to day if they are in a country legally. And they stopped this black police officer who, at the point at which, you know, she told the ICE agents that she was a police officer, they immediately got up and walked away. And so the concern was from this police chief that was explaining the story was that racial profiling appeared to be at play here. It might not be at play in every instance, right? There are a number of operations happening around many, many states, but black and brown people certainly feel in particular that they are being targeted by these operations. I will tell you this. There has now been a conversation, a telephone conversation between Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, and the president of the United States. And, you know, the sharp rhetoric that has been delivered from podiums and microphones, you know, in different locations against each other appears to be calming down. The president on Truth Social, Oliver, said, Governor Tim Walz called me with a request to work together with respect to Minnesota. It was a very good call, and we actually seem to be on the similar wavelength. I mean, that's the kind of narrative you haven't heard from both sides here. If in fact they are both sides, which appears to be the case. Tim Walz then followed up with another post of his own. I spoke to the president earlier. We had a productive conversation, and I explained to him that his staff doesn't have the facts straight about what is happening in Minnesota. He then posted a link to a Wall Street Journal op-ed where he says, the Trump administration's assault on Minnesota long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. It is a campaign of organized brutality against the people of our state. It isn't just, it isn't legal, and critically, it isn't making anyone safe. So despite the heated rhetoric that you've now been hearing for weeks upon weeks, you are seeing a calming down now.
Yeah.
The President of the United States is sending Tom Horman, his White House border czar, to Minneapolis to see if they can now arrest this situation that seems to be spiraling out of control. And do not underestimate the political pushback here in an election year that will determine who controls Congress, both the House of Representatives and the Senate.
Yeah, no, that the White House is trying to get a bill passed through Congress that seeks to give ICE agents a fat bonus. Is this a span in the wheel of that?
Well, it's part of larger appropriation bills that have already passed the House of Representatives and now goes to the Senate. And what Chuck Schumer has said, Oliver, the leader of the Democrats in the Senate, the minority leader, is that they are now going to seek to block the appropriation for the ICE agency, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, to the tune of $10 billion. They want that bill to be removed that funds ICE to allow all the other appropriation bills to go ahead, and they're happy to vote for those. But they're saying if that is not the case, they are ready to shut down the government over what you are seeing on the streets of Minneapolis. So the stakes here are very, very high. There are political risks here for both sides in terms of the elections later this year. But in terms of lawmakers seeking to ask this administration certain questions, including Republican lawmakers, Bill Cassidy, the Republican senator of Louisiana, among a number of Republican senators, said this: it's incredibly disturbing, and warned that the credibility of ICE and the Department of Homeland Security was at stake, and called for a joint investigation between the state authorities and the federal government. And that's what you're hearing a lot moving forward now. They want to quell the situation, bring down the temperature, and they believe the best way to do that is to allow Minnesota state officials to be party to the investigation moving forward.
Sherwin, thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate it. Sherwin Bryce-Pease coming to us live there from New York.